We're live. We're live. Hey, what's going on? This is Coach Stokes with Stokeshouse Boxing Academy. Stay ready so you ain't got to what? Worry about getting ready. We definitely getting ready and staying ready by my special guest today. I'm not going to do the usual thing, man. Just give the vanilla granola type of opening. I'm going to tell you how I met this brother. It had to be 2003. 2003 when I first got to California. You know how like you see on these movies, you hear about this giant that's in the woods, but you never see about him, but you know he is there. You know, you heard the fables about him. Well, when I was here, when I got stationed at my first duty station on recruit duty when I was Marine, there's a guy by the name of Paul Mendoza. Paul Mendoza. That's all I heard about. I heard Paul Mendoza. I heard he had like a cult of guys. It wasn't like a following. It was like a cult of guys that he had, that he raised, and that was kicking everybody's ass. So what I did was I looked up, me being a recruiter, I found him, and I asked him, I said, would you mind if I come down? Did I call you first? Or did I?
No, I think you just came in.
Right. So I came in, I went down there, and if you are a real fighter, you know this. When you go into somebody's gym, you show respect. You don't go in there, you don't brag and boast. That's an automatic newbie rookie mistake. So for you newbies out there that think you're gonna go inside and take over, you don't do that. You go in very humble. So I went in and I was talking to him. So he was looking at me. He was looking at me and seeing my body language, you know, like we fighters do. And he said, "What are you doing, you know, right around lunchtime?" I said, "Nothing." He said, "If you want to come by, we can do some training, some working out." He said, "We can do some boxing." I was like, "All right, I'll do it." So I stopped down, and then if anybody knows Paul loved to train. Paul is the role model for training. Paul loves training. So it went from training to going from like a couple rounds to a lot of rounds to seeing what I was.
Hold on, Steve, let me kind of stop you there, man. Let me tell you how I remember this. What happened was you came in, you're probably about 180 pounds at the time, maybe 185 pounds. And so you come in and, you know, I had a little bitty gym here in Modesto. And, you know, we get on the bags. I even have a hanging bag. I got some water bags, stand-up water bags. So we get our gloves on, right? And we start hitting the bag. I'm kind of watching you. Now, you watch me on the bag. I look like Muhammad Ali on a heavy bag, right? But I was kind of watching you, and I was like, well, you know, it's not too, you know, impressive, you know. But you were just kind of pity-patting the bag. So I'm like, all right, it's time to spar. Well, needless to say, for about 5 rounds of getting my butt kicked.
No.
You know, and going to my body, like, I don't know what happened, you know. So anyways, you know, and I'm definitely a gym warrior, you know what I mean? I haven't had, you know, fights, but I'm definitely a gym warrior. Well, anyways, you definitely put it on me. But the thing that I remember most is I look over and you had your amateur, like, 10-ounce gloves on, you know. I'm like, man, this guy just beat me up with some 10s on, man. And so after that, you know what I mean, I always say, you know, I learned from people 3 ways. You either got to know more than me, you have to have been through the fire and, you know, battle tested, or you can kick my ass. And you had all 3. So I was like, hey, whatever you say, coach.
Well, hey, let me get back to my introducing you. But if you've ever heard the saying, a master of many trades, well, he's a master of many. He's a master of many trades and a master of all, I should say. This brother, he's the first I've ever heard to say which way you want to get knocked out, whether it's with a foot, a hand, or get choked out. So I'm just gonna let you know we got Paul Mendoza, man, world karate champion, Brazilian black belt, entrepreneur, pillar within the community, public figure, you name it, he does it. He does so much giving back to, the Stanislaus County. This man is Google him. That's all I can say. Paul, thank you for gracing us, brother. Thank you so much.
Man, thank you for that introduction. I wish everybody spoke of me that highly, man. Feelings mutual, my friend. Feelings mutual.
Hey, Paul. Hey, let everybody know how'd you get started. How'd you get started in sports combats?
Growing up in the Bay Area, I'm from Oakland, born in Oakland. when I was 6 years old, moved to Vallejo, started boxing at the Boys and Girls Club there. Moved to Modesto, started Kempo at 8, and then started karate at 12. Started weapons training, you know, stick fighting, knife fighting at 14, 15. Started Muay Thai at 18. You name it, thumb wrestling, you know, Jeet Kune Do. I mean, you know, started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at 28. MMA that whole bit in 1998. Started with my teacher, Hal Gracie. I used to drive from Modesto to Mountain View, which is like 3.5 hours round trip, you know, hour and a half there, hour and a half back.
Whoa. I'm sorry. So you would drive 3 hours?
Well, it was, yeah, back and forth. So it was like an hour and a half, 2 hours to Mountain View, train, and then come back. So it was about 3 hours back and forth. And my wife had a little bitty gym, a little bitty karate school, and we had no money, but that was the best place to train at the time, you know. And you know, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. That's way more expensive. Wow. So, you know, I had to do it. It cost me $300, but you know, I went and got my education in jiu-jitsu. Now I'm a second-degree black belt under Hal Gracie. First time I had a guy step in the cage was 1999. So I've cornered probably 150 plus cage fights. Had a guy in UFC, Bellator. But, you know, I'm just an average guy, I guess. You know, there's thousands of coaches like out there that just go out there doing love. So, you know, nothing too special.
No, you are special. You are karate world champion. And that's something that shouldn't be taken lightly, because you took time off and came back in like Jordan.
I got injured when I was 25, got my shoulder dislocated. And then in 2007, I was 37 years old. And there's one thing I hadn't accomplished. I just be world champion in anything. So I came back at 37, won my first karate world title at 37, 39, 40. And then my last one was 43. But I just liked fighting. I didn't think I can go back to. I loved boxing, my first sport, but at 37, you know, what was I going to do? You know, so karate, fighting, point fighting was my second favorite thing. So I just wanted to be a world champion. So I just kept 37 and had a little left in the tank, I guess.
Okay. Do you think you ever come back?
I still fight every now, like fight in a chip in Reno coming up in a couple weeks. My daughter's fighting, so I'm gonna go back in a fighting. But really, man, I just love fighting. I love combat sports. I don't watch too many other sports. I mean, if they're not hitting each other in the ring or cage or throwing each other tables or chairs, I don't watch it.
Right,
so,
right.
Like, you know, but you know what? I gotta say, I don't think anything touches me more than I think boxing has. I think boxing has been my first love, and you know, I consider myself a minor enthusiast, but when it comes to fighting, I just appreciate all fighting.
So let me ask you this, Paul. This is the question I ask everybody. It's a 3-part question, and I'm very interested in hearing your answers when it comes to this. If you could make the perfect fighter, the perfect boxer, who would you pick out of your 3 favorite boxers, favorite fighters of all time when it comes offense, defense, and ring generalship? So all 3 of those. Who is your favorite fighters in those areas?
Well, I think when I look at an all-around fighter for me, somebody like, you know, Aaron Pryor, you know, stands out a lot, because Aaron Pryor didn't just have the tenacity, but he had a skill behind it. If you wanted to fight Aaron Pryor in an alley, he'll fight you in the alley. Yes, if you try to finesse him, he could do that too. He could box. You know, I think Aaron Pryor had that heart where he'd lose some rounds and come back. You know, Aaron Pryor was so dangerous, Sugar Ray Leonard didn't want nothing to do with him. You know, another fighter that comes to mind when you go heavyweights, which is a big influence to me, was Evander Holyfield. Evander Holyfield was probably one of the greatest counter punchers in heavyweight history that is overlooked. You know, when you look at counter punching, Evander Holyfield to me is one of the greatest heavyweight counter punchers. But what made Evander Holyfield so great was his tenacity. You know, the more he got hurt, the more he had this bounce, and he came back. So two that stick out right in my mind, you know, I can go through Alexis Arguello, these guys that have the heart that I think I look at. People that I look at in terms of role models to me are the ones that had to dig deep, you know, who lost 3 or 4 rounds and had to come back and win, and you think they're dead. And those kind of people, you know, who I look at. I look at fighters in terms of skill. I'm a great fan of Floyd Mayweather, Mike Tyson, but I'm not very a fan of their championship heart because it's never been tested. Sure. But when you look at somebody like Alexis Arguello, who he's been in some battles and had to stand up and fight, that impresses me, I think, more to see what a fighter has deep inside.
So let me ask you this: you mentioned Mike Tyson, correct?
Yeah.
His heart, was it tested, or he never pulled through?
I don't think so. Mike Tyson, again, is one of my favorite. Skill-wise, pound for pound, probably one of the most skilled heavyweights. But if you look at Mike Tyson, and you look at a lot of rankings, Mike Tyson in a lot of rankings not even in the top 10. And the reason why is because when Tyson got pushed, in fact, Teddy Atlas was just on Joe Rogan, was commenting about this. When Mike Tyson got pushed and drug in that deep water, a lot of times he kind of looked way out. You know, when he got tested, because no one tested him. He ran through everybody.
Right.
You know? So when Evander Holyfield stepped up and made it and drug him in that deep water, and man, you kind of see him crack. But wise, and it's not his fault because he was so much skilled over all these heavyweights that he just never got tested in that way. You know, so he's one of my favorite fighters. I love watching Mike Tyson. Same thing with Floyd. I'm a huge Floyd fan, but I never seen Floyd had to pick himself up. Right. You know, and that's nothing to say about it. They were so Roy Jones. Roy Jones is probably one of my single favorite fighters, but Roy Jones never had to pick himself up off a mat, you know, and go out there and fight his way back. You know, he was just killing people.
He was on another planet. He was. You had, and not saying. I mean, he fought great fighters, but he was on a whole nother level.
And he made them look like they were standing still. And It's not anything to say about these guys. Muhammad Ali. I mean, what makes Muhammad Ali looked at as was it his skill? Because if you look at Muhammad Ali, I mean, I could tell you Muhammad Ali got knocked down. I could tell you every round, every fighter knocked Muhammad Ali down. It wasn't necessarily his skill because Muhammad Ali never went to the body. Mm-hmm. He barely threw a body punch. He didn't fight on the inside very good, but it was his character. It was the fact that he can lose a fight and come back. He can lose 5-6 rounds. That's what made people love him, is what he was willing to give up.
Right.
And these fighters, they don't have that. You know, they don't have that character.
So let me ask you this, Coach. Today's athlete versus when you and I was coming up, definitely. Major difference, bro. Major difference, man. What do you see in today's athlete?
Well, number one, I look at things 2 ways, because obviously, you know, I can't say that I can people boxing. I don't necessarily consider myself, you know, a world-class boxing coach, because I'm not. You know, I'm more influenced through, you know, boxing than anything else. But I'm in the middle. I'm in that middle fence. I'm MMA. You know, I'm boxing, karate. I mean, I cover all bases. And what I see right now is happening is these fighters are almost feel entitled that they should be, you know, at the top of the heap quicker. Yes. You know, why am I not making money now? Why am I? And this is more maybe the fault of MMA, you know, because MMA, you can get somewhere quicker than you can in boxing, you know, in some respect. Mm-hmm. And these fighters now come in and, you know, these guys have like 4 or 5 amateur fights. And now, you know, they're thinking that, oh, you know, we got to start talking about, I don't got to pay the gym anymore. You know, I've won 4 amateur fights. Well, man, you're still in the Little League, you know? So these fighters nowadays almost seem entitled to something, where before, you know, you didn't have all this you didn't have a million followers, and next thing you know, you're a superstar.
Yep.
You had to actually get out and grind it, and you were a road warrior. And what that meant to me was you had to go from every city and every state and every town and fight your ass off to earn some stripes, and it just doesn't happen like that anymore.
It doesn't, and I agree with you. We live in a microwave society where they want everything right now. And that's what's killing sports. Not just boxing, combat sports, basketball, football, everything. They want everything to be a super team, superstar, whatever it is.
It's these kids think that they're going to start fighting and going to start making money, and it doesn't work like that. Like I said, I've cornered over 150 cage fights,
Mm-hmm.
and even when we're in the UFC, I had to fight in the UFC. It wasn't like people think, oh, now everybody's making money. It just doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, when these guys come in, they ask me, hey, I want to be in the UFC. Same thing with boxing. I want to be on, the next boxing world champion. You might as well tell me you're going to be an astronaut. You know what I mean? Because it's probably easier to be an astronaut.
Wow.
It's probably easier to be an astronaut than
Coach,
yeah.
Coach, can you? I want to piggyback off that what you just said, because I get so many guys. I know you get a lot of guys that come in the gym or may hit you, DM you, and say, "I want to be a fighter. I want to be the next thing," or they get inspired because they see Rocky. They only see the glamour and glitz. Can you let them know, because you lived the life and you currently living it, what it takes? What do you look for in a fighter? What it takes to be a fighter? Because it's much more than just getting your hands raised.
You know what? Honestly, as a coach, you look at some of these teams out there, and MMA, I'm more, like I said, more than MMA. So you look at some of these squads out here, that these schools, AKA, and some of these, alpha male, what they do is they cherry pick. They'll go to a college, and they have that ability. Just like, okay, perfect example, a D1 college, and I don't know nothing about sports, basketball, but I know how the system works. If I'm on a D1 college, best college, I can go to anywhere I want and grab up the best the best high school athletes. And yeah, you're going to have a great squad. The real talent of a coach is a guy who can take the average Joe who came and walked in the gym with minimal talent and make something out of that. You know what I mean? And I've been on both sides. I got a beautiful big gym, and I've had a little stinky gym, and I've had guys come in here with just phenomenal talent. But I can tell you one thing. Usually the guys that come in here with this one in a lifetime talent, they're usually the ones that are going to do two things. They're going to break first and quit, or they'll end up going to stab you in the back later. Guys I've been most successful with, and maybe they haven't made it to the big time. Maybe they haven't, been on, on TV, but the guys I've been most successful with, and I'll explain what I mean successful. The guys that have made something of themselves outside of this fighting game. The guys who've been successful people. They came in, with some troubles and some bad issues, and they've been successful outside in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are the ones that come in that didn't have a lot of skill or minimal skill, but they had work ethic. So for me, if they have work ethic, I can take that. I can build. I can teach anybody how to punch and kick. Really? Come on. Punching, it takes skill, but you cannot build heart. And that's what some of these guys just don't have. They don't have that patience, and they don't have that heart. So the first thing I look for is, what are you willing to sacrifice to get this job done? So that's for me, heart.
And coachability as well, because you can have a guy that will not listen.
So the first time I tell a guy something and he says, "Oh yeah, I know," we're done. You're never gonna be where I want you to be. Just you're rent to me. Don't you hate that? Don't you hate that?
Okay.
If you know so much, why are you training here with me?
Because I need help, Coach Paul. I need help, but don't tell nobody.
But see, the problem is, and you might, I don't know. I'm not in the boxing gyms. I'm on the MMA.
Same. No, it's the same shit, bro.
And MMA right now. See, the good thing about MMA is that I can have a guy fighting in 6 months, put him out, in 6 months to a year. Boom, we start. And that's the problem. Some of these people in MMA, I guess these guys that fights have been, how long have you been training? 3 months. 3 months and you're already fighting? Get out of here. And because it's so easy. Boxing's not like that. Boxing, you just can't jump out there and start fighting in amateur fights. There's more hoops to jump through. And I think MMA should start doing that. They should have more requirements instead of in terms of time you train before you first fight.
Okay. Let me ask you this. I got a question for you. If you had 24 hours to live, Paul, and you could test your boxing skills or your fighting skills against anybody, past or present, who would you love to fight?
Oh man, that's such a brilliant question because that question has I've always asked myself that question, and I go back to two things. Mm-hmm. Now, when you just if you just wanted me to fight somebody, now of course you got to look at Muhammad Ali's always up there because I would love to be in a room with him. But when you say test your skill,
yes,
that is something different because there I look at, probably somebody I'd want to test my skill against would be probably Julio Cesar Chavez. The reason why is because Chavez, to me, is the greatest ever, You're
talking about senior, right? Not junior, senior.
Yeah, no, not junior, senior.
Okay.
Because he would, if he wanted to, he'll knock you out in the first round. If he didn't like you, he'll make you fight all the rounds and grind you out and, make you just want to quit. So to me, that's like the gold standard to me when you want to go out there and test yourself. Now, you talk about TBE, we could argue back and forth, but the guy was 89-0 before he lost his first fight. I mean, so for me, I would be scared to fight him because it's gonna hurt.
So would you want to go 12 or 15?
Oh, I would go as long. I would love to go with 12. Because 15 is just 15 with a guy like that.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's just pain. It's gonna be pain. Now, a guy like a good knockout puncher, like Tyson, for example. Yeah, I'll go in there. He'll knock me out in the first round, be done. But to make, you have to swim.
Right. Right. You're right. You're definitely right. Okay, well let's talk about on the martial arts side. To answer that same question, who would you want to do martial arts wise if it was like
if we had to fight MMA? Now MMA, I'm not as big a fan as MMA as I am like boxing, but when you look at that whole genre of fighting MMA, now you go back and you look at a guy like Matt Hughes, Chuck Liddell. These guys were grinders, and so I think somebody who I would like to fight in the cage. If I was, young again and want to test myself, it would definitely be a guy like George St. Pierre, who's an all-around great fighter. He has great stamina. He has great ability. Now, he doesn't necessarily have a killer instinct, but the skill of and the technical ability he has would be somebody I think I would want to test my skill against.
That's a great pick. Definitely a great pick. What about in karate? You have anybody in karate?
Well, the good thing for me in my era, I have to say that I've fought probably already some of the best people who've ever put, karate pads on. And karate, the sport of karate, point fighting, is probably one of the most, it's like fencing with gloves and feet. So luckily for me, the great fighters I've probably fought already, And so I think, there was a guy that he's from LA, Southern California. His name was Ray Wizard, legendary a karate guy. Actually, one of the first guys to do UFC. I fought him. So that I think I covered the bases on that.
Okay. All right. So now I got to get your coaching aspect side. Anybody from the past that you could be mentored by coaching wise when it comes to boxing, or you would just love to sit down and get game from, who would that be, Paul?
Custom Auto.
Oh, wow.
Custom Auto for a couple reasons. One, because of the knowledge. You know what I mean? Custom Auto, because Custom Auto didn't just take a fighter and work on a skill. He mentally built them up. You know what I mean? If you look at his fighters, Floyd Patterson, obviously everybody knows Mike Tyson, Custom Auto, you know what I mean? But when you listen to Custom Auto talk, and a great coach doesn't just teach a fighter how to punch or kick or grapple. A really good coach relates life to fighting to life. And Custom Auto said he wanted to take his fighters and make sure they understood how to survive outside the ring. So Custom Auto would have been a great mentor. When I go back and look at fight tapes and I studied a lot about it fighting when, I was in a motorcycle accident and I was in a wheelchair for about 6 months, and all I did is study fighting, boxing in particular. It was Custom Auto's words that I listened to, not so much his training tips. So it was him that I think I would want to sit to just talk to about boxing and about life.
That's excellent, and that's the first on Cuss. Big ups to Custom Auto. He did a lot for this sport, without a doubt. Paul, about to clean up in a few minutes, man. But I want to know, what is your message to the world?
Man, you know what? I'm just a regular dude, just trying to, raise a kid, and so I'm just like anybody else, man. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to be an example for not just my family, but for my students, my friends, and I need advice, so I need help, I need motivation. So my message to anybody is just, be happy with what you're doing, and it's not who you loved. In the end, it's how many people loved you back. And when it comes to this thing we do, this fighting thing is so small compared to the big picture. But if I can help a couple people along the way, maybe that just might earn my key, to get to where I want to go at the end. But I think right now, the sport is in a weird time right now. I think MMA and boxing is just in a weird time. It's not necessarily going exactly the way I want, but without no change, sometimes there's no progress.
Right, definitely. It's just a learning curve.
In boxing, in boxing and MMA, the worlds collide. And I think what I would like to see more is the two worlds meeting together, not necessarily in the same ring, but I feel that you look at boxers or MMA fighters, all love boxing. But not all boxers love MMA, you know what I mean? Which is fine, because, I may not like baseball, I might like football. But we all have to respect what we do.
Exactly. Yes.
And we just got to respect. You look at rugby and football. They're very similar, but you can't, just because you're great at rugby don't mean you can be great at football. You know what I mean? So I think, the two worlds, we all can respect it, and that's what we got to do.
Yes. Big bro, what do you have going on in the future? Anything coming up?
Let's see. I got my amateur MMA guys fighting. Got a lot of amateur MMA. They got some pros fighting coming up. Other than that, I'm not trying to do too much. I'm trying to I'm 48 years old. I've been doing this for quite a long time, and I'm honestly, man, I'm trying to do not too much. I'm just trying to ride my bike on weekends, and I'm about like up to here right now with this whole, business. Right. I want to go back to enjoying just being a fan.
Right. And I love that, because you say you want to go back to being a fan.
And that's why I enjoy watching what you're doing. What you and your wife are doing, man, is awesome. And I appreciate everything that you're doing. And hey, if there's one guy, I tell you, if there's one guy that always is top coach, that's going to be you.
Brother, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, man. You didn't have to say that, and that means a lot coming from you, man, because you know the sport in and out. Like you tell me, I take your word as gospel, because you tell me, Steve, they're good. Steve, they're not. I won't even go near them.
Well, how many times or how many hours we sit and we talk about, when you used to live here, we talk about great fighters, great boxers.
Oh, bro. I loved it, man. I loved it, man. And we got to do more of that. Matter of fact, you gotta get me and your wife down to the gym, man, so we can do a seminar for you.
One of your greatest fighters that you always talked about that you liked, I remember, is Felix Trinidad.
Oh yeah, Tito.
In fact, I got a signed right there. I got a signed boxing glove.
Is that my birthday just passed? Is that my birthday gift?
I knew Felix Trinidad was always one of your favorite fighters. Why did you like Felix Trinidad so much?
You know what? Yeah, I get that a lot because they like, your favorite fighter was Puerto Rican. It's a thing in New York. It's like, oh, you don't want to fight like a Puerto Rican. If you black, then if you Puerto Rican, you want to fight. So making a long story short, I love Trinidad because it wasn't his style. He's one of the fighters where once he got dropped, I was comfortable. I was like, if he get dropped, he good, because I knew he's gonna come up and he's gonna kill you. And he had that heart, and that was one thing about it. And I guess I loved the relationship him and his dad had together, man. Because my youngest son, he's boxing right now, but it's like he loves doing it, man. And I'm just living that through him, man. So anything I can give on him, like we always talk about. I think I told you before, I hate when coaches say, oh, this is a secret. And there's no such thing as a secret, Paul.
Yeah.
No such thing as a secret. I'm for real. You learn from somebody, and that person that showed you learned from somebody else, and it kept going on. So when people tell me that, that's a red flag automatically. But I love Felix Trinidad because his heart, his tenacity, his left hook, his body shots, his punches. That left hook, definitely, man. I love how he would just, his stance, everything, man. And one thing about Tito was you knew that you was going to get a barn burner.
So Steve, I know this is your podcast, man, but I love talking to you, you know what I mean, but I don't want to take it over, but I want to ask you one thing.
Yes.
Best jab, heavyweight history. Best jab.
In heavyweight history?
Best jab, yes.
Larry Holmes.
Or just your favorite.
Okay. In heavyweight history, Larry Holmes.
I was just going to say that. That was exactly.
Come on, man. We think alike. Larry Holmes, but in boxing period, that I can emulate anybody, and I tell my son this all the time, Thomas the Hitman Hearns, his jab.
Okay, and we're talking about kind of cover the spectrum. Ike Cortez is one of my favorite jabbers.
Yo, didn't he fight, who did he fight? Was it Fernando Vargas or Oscar de la Hoya?
One of the best fights he fought. This is when I became an Oscar de la Hoya fan, because I wasn't really a fan of Oscar de la Hoya prior to Ike Cortez.
Yeah.
Because when Oscar de la Hoya stepped up in weight, he started fighting everybody. Him and Ike Cortez, which Ike Cortez his nickname was Bazooka Jab.
That's right.
They both knocked each other down, and then I think it was the 9th round. But Ike Cortez had this jab that would just stab you. And it kind of reminded me of Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes had the best jab, in my opinion, best jab, heavyweight boxing history, best jab, pound for pound, Larry Holmes. And my second favorite is now Ali had a flicking jab. Ali's jab was more like a flick.
Yeah, like that.
Ali had 3 punches.
Yeah.
He had a jab, straight, and kind of a left hook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you talk about people now Hearns had not just a jab, but it was his right hand that killed people.
You saw what he did to Duran, right?
Yeah, he was dead. Duran was dead before he hit the floor.
Oh my gosh.
So now when you look at best left hook, you could think of, who do you pick?
Best left hook. Wow. Best left hook. Roy Jones.
I was just my same guy. I was just gonna pick that.
Roy, the ultimate fighter without a doubt is Roy Jones Jr. in my opinion.
See the difference between, like, you took the speed. If you look at speed, look at top. Go look at any ranking. Floyd is not going to be top 5. A lot of rankings.
No.
If Floyd had timing, which is beautiful, I'd rather have good timing than pure speed.
Right.
But Roy had both. Roy had blinding speed, but great timing. Roy was so fast, people were afraid to punch because they were going to get hit 5 times.
Right. And that's the worst fighter. not just a one-punch knockout artist, but somebody that would hit you constantly over and over and over again.
But you know who's my pound for pound fastest fighter? Maldry.
Oh,
was probably my fastest fighter pound for pound.
So let me ask you this: did Richard Steele mess up that fight with him and Chavez, or?
Absolutely. Chavez would have lost that night if Richard Steele didn't step in, and whether he stepped in, because it was mysteriously, or he did it not knowing, whatever the case was, Chavez was going to lose. Now, is it a coincidence that Richard Steele was a Don King ref? And, was that coincidence? I don't know, but I'm just saying. And after that, Maldry Taylor was never the same.
He was not. He did not come back the same. Big up to Maldry Taylor too, man. Philly family, man. But yeah, And
at the same time, and that was also the reason you look at Philly fighters, that was the downfall of Paul Williams. Paul Williams, if you remember, was a Philly fighter, and he fought like that. Mm-hmm. And if he would have stood outside and boxed a little more instead of brawling, I think he would have had a better career. Unfortunately, he had the accident, but Paul Williams was probably one of my favorite fighters at the time. But he fought like a Philly fighter. He fought like a small fighter.
And he had a lot of guys ducking him too. He had a lot of guys ducking him too.
Oh man, Paul Williams had no problem standing there fighting a guy. Yeah. And you can see why Floyd, 6'1", 147, I'm passing him too. Southpaw, I'm passing him too. Yeah. So yeah, I can see why Floyd passed him.
Right. Well, Paul, man, I really appreciate it. We got to do it again. I got something else that I'm working on, but I need to get with you on with that. It's going to be with some coaches. So we'll talk about that offline. But hey, Paul, before we end, man, what are your social media handles? How can they find you? How can they come visit Dynamic?
Oh, I'm here in Modesto, Dynamic MMA here in Modesto. You can find me on Instagram, Paul Mendoza. It's like, man, I don't even know my Instagram, tag, but yeah, you can search me, Paul Mendoza. Man, I don't know. I'm just happy to, I'm sharing this time with you, man. I love you. I love your family, and I'm just honored that you even want to talk to me today.
Paul, we really appreciate it. Everybody be tuning in with Stokes House. Stay ready so you ain't got to worry about getting ready. Paul, I really appreciate you. Give you the love back, man. Talk to you later, brother.
All right, man.